Yeah. I did another video. I think it was early morning, and I think I covered my eyes. And I think it was in this exact same location. And it was when I woke up at 4 in the morning. That's actually unnecessary. Because I have, you know. Oh, man. Every once in a while when you're here, when you're in this place, every once in a while, not by any of your doing, some other feeling or some other thing, I can't even say what it is, but there is some slight break in the I don't even know what to call it. There's a slight break. It's like if you've been swimming around in like a mud bog for 10 years, just swimming around, sluggish. Just been swimming around in the mud bog, and that's all you've ever done. And then eventually, I don't know. Eventually you see like something green trying to poke out of the mud bog for the first time in 10 years. And it wasn't anything that you did. That's kind of how I feel right now. I can't say why. Because I've been in the mud bog. I've been in the mud bog, I think, the whole time. This place is a mud bog. And that's a very, that's a nice, that's a flattering description of it. It's a very PG rated description. So I'm sitting here sleeping in the car like normal. The things that become normal. It's really amazing. Sitting here sleeping in the car. And I had a really rough day yesterday. I don't know if anybody else did. But I was dealing with lots of internal shit. Anger and just getting annoyed at everything. And this rarely happens to me recently. I've become much more calm given the circumstances. And this is rare. But it affected me, and it when this does happen, then it's very difficult for me to drive NPCs around, because I'm carrying a chip on my shoulder and they make me angry by virtue of me having to interact with them, and I just get resentful about the situation. Somehow Eminem turned on the latest album, his revival album. while I was sleeping. So I have Eminem blasting my dream mind. So I start living out his lyrics, because that's what words are. Of course, they create they create realities, essentially. So I'm living Eminem's life. You know, we've come we've dropped pretty far in terms of our understanding of not even understanding, in terms of our direct sort of interaction with the world and its complexities, and how subtle and nuanced life itself actually is as a human being, as actually is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, it's you know, it's a miracle. It's amazing. Being living is amazing. And and it's sad to look around and see that even if I look inside myself, I can tell that I've lost a lot of that. I've become very numb. I've had toned down the emotions, and I can't say it was all just by design by myself, because I need to be protected. It's not. I did some of that, I know, but a lot of it is, I'm sure, shitty eating and being exposed to all of these things. You know, they're everywhere. It's everywhere. Social media, everywhere. But anyway, back to Eminem. So like there's a state of a human being, not this state. This one is that's why I make jokes, because every once in a while I remember I just remember, you know, what it is. And when I say it, I don't mean this place. I remember it's like comparing this place to Pandora, to the world in Avatar. It's kind of like that, because when we're in waking reality here, okay, we have all kinds of anesthetics, right? We have all kinds of numbing agents to our true spirit, to the true human that is multidimensional, and compared to this form, an absolute stunning miracle compared to this. And I always say compared to this because and even though people have issues with me saying this, it's all relative. So even if once we make our way back to this so-called divine multidimensional being, and I know people will say I'm, you know, whatever the saying is called, being a party pooper or whatever, but part of what we're doing here, aside from the serious aspect of it, is we're we're chasing a high. That's part of what we're doing here. I'm not going to pretend we're not. I know that's what we're doing. Part of it. Chasing the high, you're going as low as you possibly can, because the upswing is that much higher. So as we transcend the literal shithole that this place is, and I mean that in every single possible every single translation that can be understood in. when we finally release from it, it's that much better. The further you drop, the higher the upswing. But oh wow, it's still going. I always expect the thing to turn off, or to say not enough storage, not enough place for your rage storing. But yeah, so Eminem came on, and so I'm living his words, like playing them out, like living out that storyline with all of the nuances, because you can pack a whole universe into a couple of sentences, and I don't mean that figuratively. I mean that quite literally. It's like a record player. If you, like, somebody reading me, for instance, who is not dumbed down and dimensionally blocked all the way down to 1D, so to speak. Somebody reading me from the future, or whatever, not from the future, just someone else who can do this, could take this recording and live this situation simply by hearing me speak. They could basically recreate this whole realm, so to speak, from this, just from me saying this. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. How far we've come as we just come pretty far. We drop pretty far. I try not to complain too much, but anywho. There's a word, I forgot what it's called. Entrainment. Okay. The systems of control here are good. It's not like kids play. Like, sometimes we think, this stuff called flat earth, and Jake released another thing on his channel about he's experiencing censorship via Facebook. And he's doing his normal Jake thing, and he's taking advantage of the situation to do what he wants to do in the moment, and he's been good at that. But entrainment, the systems are very powerful. They're designed for us as multi-dimensional beings. They're not designed for us as this thing that we've been reduced to. You have to understand that. They are designed for us as this powerful multi-dimensional being. That's what the entrainment systems are designed for. They're not designed for the dumbed down human that does the same routine every day and forgot everything that he or she could possibly do anywhere. That's not who they're designed for. The fact that you're in that position thinking, these systems are fake and the government is nonsense, this is all, I'm just being oppressed. The fact that you're sitting there doing that in the first place means that all of their systems have been just working fantastically. You see what I'm saying? They've just been working great. Because yeah. And that's why I don't complain, because complaining is one of the primary tools that these systems, these suppression systems, use to keep you, the suppressed multidimensional being, entrained. That's one of the primary ways that the system does it, is it keeps you in complaining mode, and complaining mode apparently That mode is something that people seem to get themselves addicted to. I can't say exactly why, because I haven't done that sort of thing for extended periods of time, so I can't say exactly how or why that would work. But I do know that from personal experience, I know that when people get into complaining mode, they can stay stuck there for their whole lives. So as far as entrainment systems, getting someone to throw a pity party is one of the most powerful methods. So I also watched this Dan Pratt video, which he shared Dan's video, and listening to this guy talk, I just was reminiscing about what it would be like to live with other beings in a situation where you're all cooperatively working / living together / doing things directly related to the environment that you're in. I was like making a daydream about what that would feel like, because I have never experienced that. I never have experienced that. Like getting clustered together into boxes and being fed indoctrination is not that. It just isn't. Like, I know for a fact it isn't. The split from what we can dream up as being healthy for a human, much less a multidimensional being, the split is quite a lot. And even those of you who like kind of feel what I'm saying, okay, if you look inside of yourself and you look at what you do every day, and you look at how many people you are directly connected with, working with in an intelligent fashion, speaking about this place, what it is, why we're here. If you look at how many real life physical people like that you have in your life, you can count them on no fingers, most likely. Okay, you can count them on 0 hands. They're all online, so of course, you're in this social media indoctrination. Social media is not indoctrination in the sense that traditional schools are. I would say traditional schools are more, at least back when Christianity still had sort of a stronghold, they were more along that line. They kind of seemed to degrade into more of this mind control, dumbing down type of thing later on. But originally they were kind of wholesome and stuff, at least as far as I can tell. I don't know. I really don't know. But if you look around your day, you have to watch your own self as you move through your day. This is it's why I say meditate, because we're easily hoodwinked, and the reason we're easily hoodwinked is because we are like magical creatures that we can create realities with our thoughts. That's why it's easy to hoodwink us. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to trick beings that are creative, because they just like shit creativity all over the place. And then if you want to achieve something and you can't do it yourself, like you get this magical rainbow colored universe creating unicorn, and you get poke it on a certain spot, and then it shits out a universe or something for you. I know that sounds kind of ridiculous, but the ridiculousness of this realm has to be explained somehow. That's why I come up with seemingly wackadoodle theories to the normal populace, but they make sense to me because there is not even any logic in what the normal populace does. They don't even communicate in the first place. How could you start saying it's logical or not? They're just like silent, like social media devouring NPCs, I guess. I don't even like that term, but they, yeah. So that's a very complicated way of saying that all of this shit was getting to me yesterday. Very long, drawn out. And I couldn't really work, so-called work. Couldn't really drive NPCs around. And Uber itself, the head of the monster, which is the app, was, I don't know if Uber's dying or something, but they like deactivated my account last week for whatever reason. No reason. I don't know what the reason. They didn't tell me why. And when I came back, when I finally got it activated again, then all the bonuses had disappeared, and I rely on the bonuses. It's not worth it to me to sit on my ass in an unhealthy fashion, i.e. sit on my ass for 12 hours a day or longer and driving these people around. That's not healthy in the first place. And then if I'm not even getting compensated correctly according to my own determination, then it just pisses me off. And if you add all this to the normal realm bullshit, it compounds and becomes a giant clusterfuck of a day. And that's what happened yesterday. And these days come up, not all the time, but sometimes they come up, and I just feel like I viscerally feel this I feel the people, and I feel like the isolation and the separation, and like I just feel the collective like grossness, and it hits me, you know. Oh, that's why I'm saying, like, every once in a while, if you've been swimming around in the mud bog for 10 years, figuratively speaking, we've been swimming here for like thousands of years, if you measure, you know, if you do the measurements, whatever. But anyway, I felt that quite strongly yesterday. And we you know, as far as external realm bullshit, there's also stuff going on, and you know, the forces that be are getting more brazen and more stupid at the same time. They're not stupid, but they're smart little negative fuckers. But you know, we're traipsing along and dancing through the dandelions toward a place where the sort of nasties, the negative Nellies, aren't gonna be under the same sort of control that they are under now, and stuff, this you know, this fear mongering will become more evident, more allowed, because we've been living with like blinders over our eyes for a long time, thinking that this is just a normal world and blah blah blah, because it's not. So that stuff will come out, and we'll have to face it more directly, rather than simply discuss things over social media with so-called other awakened, you know, woke, stupid term. But it's gonna start making itself more evident, because something that's like rotten from the inside out. It's like we're living inside of a giant, like a trash bag, one of those black plastic trash bags, and it's filled like it's filled up with like just like every vile thing you can imagine. We're in there, inside of we're inside of a McDonald's cup or something, inside that trash heap, and all of this decomposing things around us, like the McDonald's cup, since they're really, you know, McDonald's makes everything, so it can't ever decompose, so probably the cups included. So since we're in one of those, like, we kind of feel the tremors of just this molding, like, you know, swampy, boggy, just bacteria-laden, brownish stuff. We kind of feel it mentally, even though we're inside the cup and it's sterile in there. we kind of feel it. And you know, what we call our sky, we don't realize that it's the lid of the McDonald's cup, you know, and the whole outside just worms and shit's about to burst in. Oh. And you know, the sun, every time the sun comes out, it's really just the fucker that's drinking his drink. He's taking his mouth off of the straw. I'm just making all this shit up, but it's a figure of speech, but I'm making it up for a purpose, and the purpose is that shit is actually gonna hit the fan, and the normal people, the ones that I don't know, the ones that have been resolutely with their, you know, their heads in the sand for as long as possible, they're just gonna have to pull it out, or, you know, like, because if your head's in the sand and like a giant ass machine comes down the beach, like, it's gonna run the body over, and then your head can't be in, your head will be in the sand, but you know, the head won't be alive anymore. So they're gonna have to pull their head out of the sand relatively soon, because all this shit's ramping up. Like the Hawaii thing, the ballistic missile threat. I had a personal friend who had that on her phone, and she's, you know, she's much more aware than your average Joe. She's very jaded. I actually went to high school with her, but she's not even on, I don't think you know, I don't know. But that, and that thing in Michigan, that you know, that ray, the fires in California, the obvious unnaturalness of them. These are sort of external events that are kind of the fact that they're there in the first place. Oh, and last night I got a text on my phone that said the federal government is shutting down because of some blah 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 thing. I don't know what it was. I didn't care. I just know that every time something external makes its way to the I just know that these things are ramping up, and it is going to, something will happen at some point. I think. I don't know for sure, because it seems like nothing has happened forever, and it's just been mundane. Like, the way this place is just, it's barely, I can barely describe the way that this place is, really. Like, if I sit down and just think about it, what way is this place? You know what I'm saying? Like, I have some fucking trouble doing that. I really do. The little tentacles get me too. There's no way I can claim that I'm somehow exempt from them. They get me good. But every once in a while I have a half an hour reprieve, and I can float around a bit without being entrained onto finding the next invisible fucking dollar to put in the retarded bank account, as if that has anything to do with anything other than mind entrainment. You know? No, but you're helping the people. Yeah, I know. So, that was a really long rant. I feel much better, I think. That wasn't a rant. That was an informative lecture. And also, thank you to everyone who's donating on Patreon. I didn't know if anyone was going to donate. Okay, like, no clue. And I've had like 5 or 6 people donate. And it's not like, you're pledging a monthly amount. So I've had a few pledges of $5 a month. I've had someone pledge $25 a month. I had someone pledge $40 a month. A $7. You all know who you are, and thank you. And yeah, more than the actual money, because I don't like money very much, but more than that, just the fact that you're doing that means that you have to take a little hit on yourself, and it's just yeah, thank you. And so that the fact of all you doing that helped offset my shitty day a little bit. I can't say it did a lot, because when these things happen, like when I have to actually feel this place, because I shield myself from it most, but when I have to feel it, then hardly anything can cheer me up. So thank you for that. That link will always be in my videos, so if anyone who has not seen that, I made a Patreon page. I did make a Patreon page. You can pledge whatever amount. I appreciate any and all, because I am escaping from this nasty money bullshit, hopefully. But yeah. It's really amazing, this place. It's very quiet here. Like, it feels much more simulation theory than like a so-called real place. It's very quiet. You know, single player-ish. Anyway, I don't think I had anything else to say. I don't think I did. A bit of space for the mind. I had a bit of space. I love the morning because it's so peaceful and quiet outside. There aren't NPCs running around doing absolutely nothing, like always, accomplishing nothing, doing nothing, being nothing. The behavior of non-player characters is an example of either shoddy programming, or it's an example of the fact that the surrounding environment is so trashy that even the interior, as far as programming, has to be trashy. Because otherwise you would program like an ounce of creativity into the characters. You would. In my opinion. I gotta go. Peace.